Would you like to get access to an SBA loan, but you don't know exactly where to start, what documentation they're going to ask you for, and how to structure the deal to, instead of 3 months waiting for an SBA loan, becomes maybe 30 days or 60 days? Well, you're lucky, because on this video, I'm going to show you from zero to funding and how to get SBA loans. Now, my name is Yomel Gutierrez. I'm the founder of Jigos, where I help small businesses get access to affordable and responsible lending, and most important, become bankable, because one bankable business is a profitable business. Now let's get right to it. All right, now that we are back, let's get started with our presentation. Once again, SBA lending from zero to funding. Now, what you should listen to me. Well guys, I literally out there on the street working with lenders on a regular basis. I talk to them, I go to lunch with them, I go to the networking events, I get invited to some of their events, because again, I work with people, I send their clients, I help my clients to ensure that they connect with people that they feel comfortable working with. And of course, it makes sense, not just at a personal level, but for the business, for the long term, right? That they are working and banking with financial institutions that tailor to the industry and working with people who believe in the dream. Because to me, that is extremely important. That's how I got ahead on the financial industry, because I was working with people who believe in me and help me out. And I wanted to share the same with every single one of my clients. So far, it has been amazing. Also, I've been 7 years in the lending industry and the small business lending industry with Lendio, which happens to be the #1 small business lending marketplace in the country. So yes, I was an employee, and then I become the first employee to ever own a franchise. All that in less than a year. And my background is actually in telecommunications. So I just believe in what I say. I love what I do, and I don't see myself walking away from this industry anytime soon. Hopefully in the next 30 years. I really love this. So that's what I'm innovating in the industry. Let's get to the agenda. Let's start with the basics. We're gonna be talking about, how to set up your data room, every single detail to make this process as easy as possible. What we are not going to be talking here is the SBA programs, is it a 7A or 504C. You can find that information in other places. This one is specifically to help you prepare to get that SBA loan and get it funded in less than 2 months, hopefully, or in less than 3 months. And make this process as smooth as possible, because an SBA takes time. But it takes time because sometimes people don't know the details on what to expect and what they're going to be asking. So this is what this video is all about. The basics, the due diligence before applying, the personal documentation, the business documentation that they might ask you, general banks and SBA requests and documentation, and how to find the lenders, which is extremely important. I have my own way to find these lenders. Most people just go and talk to the bank about it, and a lot of people get declined because of that. So hopefully my approach would help you increase your chances of getting funded. Okay, let's start with the basics. #1, get your data room. Either you got a box.com or OneDrive or Google Drive, whichever of those. Get your data room and put all your information in there, in folders. Personal information, business information, bank statements, AR. Just have a data room specifically for your company, right? All your docs should be on a PDF file. This is insane, but I see people that they just send pictures of the bank statements or pictures of the taxes. Fellas, don't do that. Just scan everything and make sure it's in a really nice PDF file, right? Just make it simple. And if you don't have that someone, well, just take the time to do it, right? Or pay somebody to do it. Or work with us and we help you out. Have a clear understanding of the use of funds. Okay, this is extremely important because again, it would affect the documentation needed for the loan, right? For the sake of this video, let's just say that you own a manufacturing company, right? And you've been for 5 years in business, you have good credit, and you're profitable, right? Those are the data points that I'm giving you right now. So just be mindful of how are you gonna be using the funds. But I'm gonna keep it very broad right now, right? We're not talking about the example. If you're looking for a commercial real estate loan, well, they're gonna be asking you for the rent roll, right? Or any lease that you have with the tenants in that building. Machinery, well, what is the cost of that machinery? What value will bring to the business? Where is the invoice, right? Is a business acquisition. Well, what is the sales agreement, right? From the owner to you, in this case, the seller. Where are the documentation for the business that you're buying, right? If you're buying a franchise, again, a former franchisee, where is your franchise agreement, right? How many locations does this franchise has? Is it brand new? Or is it, like McDonald's, which has been there forever, right? Or are you just starting a business, right? And if that's the case, do you have cash reserves, for example, right? 6 months or a year worth of cash reserve to pay for the loan. Are you gonna be part-time or full-time on this new business? What is that loan amount looks like, right? Is it $20,000 or is it $100,000? And what is the experience that you have to be starting this new business or this new venture that you're going to get into? Also, remember, the bank or the banker is not your friend or family member. It's a business and you should treat it as such. What do I mean by that? Some people go to the bank, or I've seen some people that they get freely willy with the bankers. Oh yeah, I know my banker, my buddy who'll let me know. No, dude. He's a business. He's trying to make his numbers just like you, right? Because that's what you ask him for that loan, to grow your business. Because that's exactly when you're in business, just keep that in mind. You're going to ask for money so you can make more money, right? And your financials will tell the story of how you're going to grow that money that is rented, right? They're going to give it to you for 3 years to 5 years plus charges, right? In this case, charges are the interest. So just keep that in mind. Also, I want you to be respectful of the human being on the other side, right? And it's the same. If you're a banker, if you're watching this, you should be exactly the same for the business owner. Appreciate the work that they're doing because they're not on a salary like you are, right? And they're working literally every single day. I haven't met one business owner that doesn't work literally every day, like from Monday to Monday. There's no holidays, Sundays, none of that exists. They're just working, right? It's not like you guys that you get to take vacations. These people, unless they're making about $5 to $7 million, they're not taking no vacations. I tell you that much. So just for both sides, guys, be respectful, right? Because you're working with a banker. That's another human being. They got family issues too. They are trying to make the numbers. You're trying to make the numbers. So just be respectful. That's all I'm saying. Time is money for you and the banker. You should know this by now, but it is. What I mean by that is having all this information laid out properly, your taxes, your financial statements, all these details will save you so much time. You have no idea. And truly understanding what you're going to be doing with them, it will save you so much trouble. So much trouble. And do have a good connection with them. Ask them. If you are not 100% sure, just ask them. That's literally what they're there for, right? You don't have to be ashamed if you don't know what is the difference between an LLC and an S Corp and what are the benefits of opening either one in order to get a loan. Just ask them, right? So that's that. And at least 2 ways to find you on the internet or social media. Listen. I have met people who are making over $500,000 from the living room and don't even have a website. They don't even on social media. If you are working with a community bank and you have good relationships there and you're going to be asking for a loan at that community bank, most likely you might get approved, right? Because they know you, they know what you're doing. You've been banking there for like 5 years, 7 years, whatever. Everybody knows what you do. But if you're going outside of that bank because they declined you, you need to be found on the web, because now you're talking to a whole new financial institution who doesn't know anything about you. So when you're making $500,000, you don't have a website, you don't have a Facebook page, you don't have anything that it can find you. Let's say that you're working with millennials or Gen Zs. Man, people get very suspicious of, like, okay, well, what is this guy doing, right? Or gal, whoever. So, have something out there, right? Have something out there. So people can, do some research on you. Alrighty, let's talk about due diligence. Do a UCC search on your business with the Secretary of State. Let me give you another example. Let's say that, again, you've been in business for 5 years, right? But you have one of these years that it was rough for you. So you took some of these cash advance lenders, right? Daily payments, weekly payments, etc. But you paid it off. That year you were not profitable, but you paid them off, and you're gone. Nothing to do with that cash advance loan anymore. Well, guess what? Sometimes, this is something that I've been seeing here in California. Some cash advance lenders will go through a third party, in this case a law firm, and that law firm will file the UCC on their behalf. Fellas, it takes about 15 days, 15 business days, not like regular day, 15 business days for these people to get in contact with that lender so they can remove the UCC. And you already paid them off about, 3 years ago. Again, this is just going to delay the process. So go to the Secretary of State, type your business, and make sure that nobody, unless you have a loan, but if you don't have any loan or you paid off all your loans, see on your Secretary of State if you have a UCC or lien against your business. This will save you, again, at least 10 business days, at least over here in California. Think of how much money is that for you, for your business. Also, disclose any sensitive information. Lawsuits, people, like, if you're in a state like California, you might get sued for anything and everything, right? Just be upfront about it. Let the banker decide. They have internal policies inside the banks. You know what? This is not a big deal. Don't worry about it. We can proceed, right? Unpaid bills, loan charge off. Tell the story. Tell them what happened. Let them decide if they can actually move forward with your file or not before you even send the information. This is just a conversation that you're having with these bankers, right? It's worse if you send all that information and they found out. Now you wasted your time and you wasted their time because you didn't want to disclose that up front. Again, a simple yes or no over the phone or in person is better than running your credit, putting all this information together just for you to get declined. Bankruptcy, it's a big no-no. So if you had one, right away for 7 years, because a lot of banks don't even want to work with you if you have one in the last 10 years, literally. Collections. Let me share something about collections. I got a lot of stories. Again, I've been in this industry for a long time. But collections is one of the things that you can actually explain, even though people might say it online. No collections. This is completely like, we're not gonna give you any money. Let me give you something about collections. Let's say that you are making $7 million or $10 million or something like that, and you have employees who actually take care of paying the bills. Let's assume that one of those guys quit, and now no one is overseeing if the bills are getting paid or not. Now it's 3 months later. You think that the bills are getting paid, but they're not, and your information just went to collection. You're making $7 million, but your bill for $150 just went to collection because somebody didn't do. It was just that the position wasn't filled. See, that's a story that you can tell to somebody, and you can show, like, as soon as we realized what was happening, we paid that off right away. That's it. Simple as that. Just be upfront. Loan stacking. Again, if you have 3 or 4 loans, Some lenders might not feel comfortable giving you more money, right? Or you might have to justify that. For example, you might say, I bought a piece of equipment last year, but I needed another piece of equipment. And I have to get 2 more vehicles on my fleet because of the equipments, the revenue went up. That's why I have 4 different loans. That makes sense. That totally makes sense, right? Because in every single loan, you were using it differently in order to continue to increase the revenue of your company. That makes sense. See, loan stacking can be a double-edged sword. It can be bad, but also can be a sign that you know how to manage your cash flow properly and you know how to manage loans in order to grow your company. So that was it for due diligence. Now let's get into the documentation part. Personal documentation. White deal driver license. Make sure that your personal credit is 700 plus across all major credit bureaus. Have a voided check, just a picture of a voided check. Just make sure that it's big and white, it says voided check. And last 2 or 3 years of personal tax returns. Again, we're applying for an SBA loan, so some lenders might ask you just for 2, depending on the loan amount, but just have the 3, just there, just in case they ask for more information, is already there. You're avoiding another 20 minutes, 45 minutes of back and forth. On the business side, same, proof of business ownership. Depending on the type of company, the type of business structure, meaning either an LLC, is an S Corp or C Corp or non-profit, you know that you have a specific set of documentation to as a proof of ownership, right? Articles of incorporations, EIN letter. If it's a C Corp, maybe you have bylaws, right? Have all that information on your data room available right away. Last 3 years of business tax returns, business debt schedule. On your business debt schedule, let me make a pause. Fellas, put all the debt that you have, credit cards, loans. Again, they're gonna do a cash flow analysis, right? And then when they run your credit and the credit of the company, they're gonna see all those loans. So again, you're not being honest and transparent. It's just going to delay the process. Just be honest and put all the information on that debt schedule. The AR or AP, account receivable or account payable, will be, again, depending on the industry. If you are a manufacturing company, which is what we were talking about in this example, you might have, let's say, contracts with Boeing or, I don't know, whatever, Honeywell, for example, another company that I noticed that is on an account receivable for some clients. Just make a client list on those account receivable, and based on products or service that you're providing to these companies, do it on a 30, 60, or 90 days. 3 to 6 months of business bank statements. All right, I'm a control freak, right? I want to see everything. And it's just because when I submit one of my files to my financial providers, I want to make sure that they say, oh my God, Joe is sending this file looks, it looks amazing. I got all the information I need so I can get back to him right away. So usually lenders only ask you for 3 months. Working with me, I'm gonna ask you for everything, right? So 6 months. Previous profit and loss or income statement, whatever you wanna call it, balance sheet, year-to-date P&L and balance sheet. Ideally, your P&L will be on a month-to-month basis, and it's possible a cash flow statement. Not a lot of people have cash flow statements for whatever reason, but the small businesses that do, they're very sophisticated, I tell you that much. And they do tend to, again, because they have another statement, it provides more transparency into the business. So the underwriter on the financial, from the financial institution has a better picture of the business that he's underwriting. And remember, the bank is trying to avoid risk. He might give you the money, but he's trying to avoid risk because he wants that money back. Remember, he's not giving you the money, he's renting you the money. You might want to have in that data room as well BIOS of the company, who are your suppliers, your vendors, your current clients, about the company, what do you do, how long you've been doing it, and of course, management. Let's talk about you, right? Well, Joe has been in business for, he has 7 years experience in the lending industry. He's taking certifications with Corporate Finance Institute about commercial banking credit analyst, Very soon, he's about to become a chartered financial analyst. You know what I'm saying? So you have information that you can tell the lender who are you and what are you doing and what this makes you a perfect candidate for that loan. And any other information related to the use of funds on your request. Again, you're the manufacturing company. You're asking for $500,000, but you need $100,000 for an engineer that you need to bring into the company. Well, let's talk about what type of engineer you bring into the company. Maybe a little bit of that money is for inventory, right? What type of inventory are you buying? Can be raw materials, for example. Oh, I need another piece of equipment because the one that I have is kind of old. It's not working as intended, so I need a new one. Everything breaks down on that use of funds. The bank and SBA documentation, again, the bank might have its own application that they want you to fill out. So that's that. They might ask you for the IRS form 45016, tax transcript, which is another thing. If you have a tax lien, if you're not paying your taxes, they might just wait until you are current on those payments before they actually disperse the loan, or they just decline you straight up. Like, hey, you're not paying your taxes, I don't feel comfortable with giving you a loan. Some of them might ask you for a good faith deposit. This is just sometimes, right? Again, be mindful because good faith deposit, they might say, hey, we'll give you this money back. But if they already doing the underwriting and doing all this kind of stuff, they might not give you the full amount back. Once again, by you knowing this up front, I'm hoping that by the time that you get approved, you are you clear. Like there's nothing that they can say, oh, I didn't know this, right? So that information. Your personal financial statement. The SBA has its own personal financial statement, but some lenders like to use its own personal financial statement. I generally don't know why. They should just use one and call it a day, but every lender is different. And then the SBA loan application, which again you can find on the SBA website. Now let's talk about how to find the lenders. This is very important. This is the way I do it, right? I go to Google and I type SBA Office of Capital Access. And let me just show you really quick how I go about it. Okay, so you're gonna go to Google and you're gonna type SBA Office of Capital Access. I already did it. So you're gonna click on this where it says SBA's Office, once again, of Capital Access. And when you get to this page, you're gonna take a look at this. Again, you're a manufacturing company looking for working capital, right? So you're gonna go to 7A and 504 summary report. And here you're gonna see all the information about, the program. So in this case, it's 2025, and I like to do it like we already mid-year. So this will give you some good data though, literally. So you, in this case, make sure that you do SBA or SBA Express. This working capital pilot never went anywhere. I tried to do it. There's not that many lenders, but maybe they change it. And with all these trade words, I don't know, folks. I don't know. I haven't taken a look into that one. And then instead of going by race and gender, any of that kind of stuff, the way I like to do it is based on industry. Why based on industry? Because when you work with industry tailored lenders or financial institutions, you get higher approvals, more competitive rates, and a better service overall. So you definitely want to do it through an industry tailored, You want to take an industry tailored approach. Now, let me just say this for the sake of being 100% transparent, because this is what Jiggle is all about. I understand that people might want to do this based on race, right? Like maybe I'm black and they don't want to give me a loan, or I'm a female or whatever, right? I literally got people who say, "Oh, I'm a white man, so I don't get access to capital." I hear a lot of stuff, right? And I'm not saying that there are no lenders out there that discriminate, though. Like, there's definitely lenders that discriminate. And if you're one of those lenders that you're watching this, let me tell you, bro, in my book, you're an anti-capitalist. Because as a financial institutions, I just can't even imagine the reason why you would like to discriminate against somebody who's just trying to better themselves. Literally. And I do get that some lenders like Chase don't want to get involved with the gun manufacturing industry. Neither do I. So I get it. You know, some industries cause more troubles than benefit to society. But then again, that's just a personal opinion. The point is, I do get that some lenders might not give you the best amount of money. But that's because you're not working sometimes on an industry tailored way, guys. And I'm going to give you another example. You might have an amazing company, you're super profitable, but maybe if you walk into Wells Fargo is a make a huge bank, right? They have like 5 different type of make money: loans, credit cards, deposit, junk fees, trading fees, right? If you go to a local community bank, they're just making money based out of loans. So where do you think that loan is gonna carry more weight? At Wells or at a local community bank? At a local community bank. That's why it will be better sometimes to do it at community banks, because you have higher concentration and they appreciate more your business and they will try to retain you even more. And they will accommodate more to your needs because they're kind of small. Just like you, if you're a small business, right? Depending on the industry that you're in, if you're working with your competitors that might be huge corporations, they may not be as lenient as you are with your clients, right? And that's the reason why some clients want to work with you. So just keep that in mind and keep it industry tailored. All right, folks, that was pretty much it. Hope you learned how to get your SBA loans once again from zero to funding. This is Jiggles. Please subscribe, ring that bell, and follow us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn. And please join on waiting list, because when we launch, I'm telling you, we're going to change the financial industry once and for all. Thank you and have an amazing night.